Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Bruce here with Stock Markets with Bruce. Welcome to my stock market channel, all about the markets in plain English. Some of these terms these Wall Street guys use, unbelievable. Thank you for subscribing to my channel, making donations to my PayPal donate button. Links are down below. Listen, I want to talk to you today about what's going on with regard to the cruise business and the airline business. There is a lot of speculation, to say the least, going on in the market these days. A lot of investors have been trying to, time their investments, figure out what to get, not to get. The guys in Wall Street, they are starting to make their thoughts known. J.P. Morgan, Deutsche Bank, and others are finally starting to make some sense. Well, let's talk about this whole deal here. The airline business. Oh my gosh, these are the good old days when there were people at airports. There are far fewer now than there ever were. U.S. officials are pleading with people, do not travel for Christmas. Stay home. The numbers have just been coming out this last week or so from the Thanksgiving travel season of 2020. And as predicted and as feared, the U.S. has been hitting brand new high numbers of daily infection rates for the virus, over 200,000, in some cases 250,000 a day, over 3,000 deaths a day. This number has surged by 100-odd thousand a day in infection rates since Thanksgiving. It's so obvious that if you're traveling out there right now during a pandemic, you're just asking for it. The cruise lines, they're burning money like you can't believe. They haven't had a paying passenger on board since March of 2020. The hope that the cruise lines have is that they'll be sailing in March 2021. The reality, they're not going to be sailing, I think, until the fall. I think it'll be a miracle if they get any cruises off before September of 2021. It's just, the bottom line is you're going to need to be vaccinated before you get to travel internationally, and that will include cruise ships, because every cruise out of the U.S. is an international cruise. Airlines, I think we're going to see in short order that you're not going to be allowed on an airplane for an international flight without having proof of vaccination. And it wouldn't surprise me that certain states in the U.S. will start to enact policies that will not allow people into their states via aircraft if they haven't been vaccinated from other states. So that means interior travel in the U.S. might be restricted as well. I couldn't be happier to hear this. This should be a standard protocol. I really believe that without vaccine inoculations, you shouldn't be going anywhere. But that's just me. We'll see what happens. Now, in the numbers department, oh my gosh, the airlines have been racking up $300 million of losses a day. Did you hear that? They are burning $300 million in cash a day. Not a week, not a month, not a year, every 24 hours. This is an unbelievable amount of money. It's like $12 million an hour that's being burned off by the airlines. They're trying to get that number down to $180 million a day, which is kind of like saving a lot. Unbelievable. On the cruise front, our friends here at Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, Carnival, and all the other lines combined, the estimates are that on a per day basis, the cruise lines are burning off over $50 million a day. Absolute hemorrhaging of their balance sheets. These cruise lines and airlines have been trying to raise money every way they can, everywhere they can. They're trying to cut their expenses. They're trying to cut their obligations. This ship right here, the Odyssey of the Seas, is already 6-8 months behind schedule. All of her inaugural cruises canceled. This ship won't sail until next fall, and now Royal Caribbean is on the hook for the ship. The good news is Royal Caribbean and other cruise lines have been able to negotiate new loan terms for their brand new ships, because these shipyards where they build these monsters are in Europe, and these European countries are very open to renegotiating financing deals. And in effect, what's happening with Royal Caribbean is they're not going to pay a dime on that ship basically until they start sailing it with paying passengers. So that allows them to take delivery of the ship, allows the shipyard to get the ship out of their facility, and The money is advanced from these export banking entities that these governments run, and it allows the keys to be transferred to Royal Caribbean or Carnival, whoever's getting their ship, and it allows the shipyards to be paid, and that keeps jobs secure back home in these European countries and allows the cruise lines to order their next ship and get it going. So new ships are coming, but they're delayed. In the meantime, though, when it's all said and done, the cruise lines are raising cash everywhere they can. They've raised over, $15 billion so far since the beginning of the pandemic. They'll probably need another $10 billion to survive it. That puts $25 billion of debt on the books of these companies. I'm going to guess that $5 or $6 billion of that, maybe 20% of that, will be in the form of stock sales, where they're just going to issue stock to investors rather than issue bonds. The bonds that were being issued back in April, May, they had to pay upwards of 12% interest. Right now, they're paying about 7 to 8% interest. Airlines, they're not much better off. They have been basically begging governments to bail them out. The non-socialist United States has been socializing their airlines all year. At least $50 billion has already been given to the airlines by the government. Subsidies, loan guarantees, you name it, and the airlines are begging for more. They're promising not to use the money to buy back stock. The governments are trying to get them to say, look, I'll give you this dough, but you got to keep the payroll going. The airlines have been laying off tens of thousands of workers already. They can't stop it. They have to keep going. They're not getting enough to survive. When you are losing about $10 million, $12 million an hour, a $5 billion bailout isn't going to last you very long. $300 million a day, like I said, being lost. That's $9 billion a month in the airline sector. That's $100 billion, $110 billion a year being lost by the airlines in the U.S. And this is the rate it's at, and it doesn't look good for months yet. Absolutely scary and unbelievable. Zombie companies right now in the United States. Zombie companies are companies that are technically raising money through markets to stay alive and pay interest and pay debts. So if you've got loans and you need to pay them, you raise money from other bankers to pay other bankers. That's called a Ponzi scheme in the courts, but it's allowed in the business world as long as you declare it. $1.4 trillion of debt has been racked up by zombie companies in 2020. Think about that. $1.4 trillion. Those are your savings and my savings, our pension dollars. There are mutual funds, pension funds, ETFs, all who've invested in these entities on the faith that they will come back and be able to pay these debts. And this debt is just going to keep growing because we've got at least another 6 to 9 months of this before we see an end to it. And that's before the news that came out this morning that there is a new strain of the virus in England, in the UK, and they're putting brand new restrictions on travel because they are worried that the new strain of the virus might be immune to the existing vaccines that are out there. This news could be devastating for the world economy. We may be into a major depression, and governments will not have enough to bail us out. We may see hyperinflation. We may see currencies really take a hit here. We may see interest rates at levels we've never seen before. I don't know. We're going to follow this closely. We're hoping for the best, praying for the best. But J.P. Morgan is saying, start being selective in selling your airline stocks. You know what that means? Run, Forrest, run. Get out. Don't hold cruise stocks. Don't hold airline stocks. That's what they're saying. Thank you for joining me today. We'll keep you posted. Bye for now.